back. WNST, Baltimore Positive. We're Towson, we're Baltimore. We are all around. Big appreciation to all of our sponsors, including our friends at Royal Farms. I'm putting together this crab cake tour. I had to explain to the my friends out there, Frank Schilling, Ed Stronsky, that the crab cake tour is in the middle of Chicken Palooza. So we're going to have a Chicken Palooza, crab cake a palooza. And this guy's had a little bit of chicken, a little bit of crab cakes as well. I don't know over the weekend. He says he doesn't fry the fish that he catches. I am in the middle. I was on the phone with Nick Roderick, Stan Roderick's son, who is a fly fishing captain, Dennis Koulatsos, and we are putting together this Savage River thing. He's trying to talk me. Do you want to go to Patapsco this or Potomac that or like all of these things? I'm like, no. I'm Savage River. I'm yurting and I'm glamping, and that's the way we're going to do it on the crab cake tour.
You want to go to Western Maryland, sounds like to me, although the Patapsco is a great place to fish, Susquehanna. No shortage of water in Maryland. So we're very fortunate that we have all these options that a lot of folks, frankly, don't. So we get a bit of everything, plus the Four Seasons, plus crab cakes, plus chicken. You name it, we get it.
Well, look, you and I do sports together. You're here on Thursday from 3 until 5, and you focus solely on sports. I have sort of meandered. I've been very, very honest and open about the Orioles. I'm going to a Bowie Bay Sox game next week. I've had Phil Rye on this week. Most of my conversations the last 2 weeks have been about the Bay Sox, quite frankly, and about the, and that's the way the organization wants it. They don't want us focusing on the fact they got swept again this weekend when nobody was watching somehow on a football field in Tampa. But I did watch a lot of sports over the weekend. I have been planning this crab cake tour. The fishing thing keeps coming back to me. Whether it's my sponsors, whether it's the price of crab cakes or crab meat or friends selling crabs, it's that time of the year. My pal Brian Eater from Chaucer is down in North Carolina, like on a marlin boat, like the ones we do here in August where I'm beginning. So I'm planning this trip then. I'm doing white marlin. I'm doing crabbing on Tillman. I'm doing so, I'm going to be fishing a lot in August. I'm going to be away from sports. But while I'm on sports, and I know we've talked about this the last couple of weeks, if you are home on a weekend and it's raining sideways as it was, let's say, Saturday morning or whatever, Friday, right? There's so much happening and it sneaks up on you. All of a sudden, I'm home on a Thursday afternoon and the French Open semifinal turns into this classic. And my wife can't keep it off. My wife's watching French Open. She's watching the Islanders. We're watching the Orioles. There's a lot of sports going on in my house this weekend, even if I'm not talking about it 24 hours a day.
Yeah, there's something for every sports fan out there. As you mentioned, the French Open was very compelling, from the Joker and Nadal Classic to Joker being down 2 sets to Stefanos Tsitsipas, right? One of my Greek countrymen. So
I can't say that. Only you can say that.
The whole country goes up.
I can say the Stefanos part. I got that part down.
Yeah. There you go. Tsitsipas. So everybody was all geeked up about him, and he goes up 2 sets, and the whole country was going nuts. And of course, the Joker came back to win his 19th major title there. So gave the racket away, which was another moment,
right?
You know what? That's, and J.J. Watt commented on it, and the kid that got the racket was jumping up and down. And that's why we love sports, right? You can't script. It's unscripted. We don't know what the outcome is going to be. And sometimes when the outcome seems very bleak, the unthinkable happens. A comeback happens, right? A historic comeback at that. And we're very fortunate that we're able to
witness. Phil Mickelson happens, and Tom Brady happens, and the Joker happens, and Nadal happens too, right? Like, that's sort of a match. I think all the way through for sports being, and maybe we knew this during the pandemic because it was like the first thing that got taken away from us, right? Like concerts, yes, but sports was the daily hum and buzz of our lives. No March Madness, no lacrosse season, no Masters, no, all of those things went away at that period of time. Now they're all back. And I think we spent months talking about like how important it would be, right? And this week is a Ravens week, the only Ravens week there really is of the off season. Luke is out of camp. He tells me I can go out now without a mask if I show my vaccination card. So this might be the week that I debut the locks that John Harbaugh has talked so much about. He may confuse me with Stefanos, or at least Rio Ruiz. I'm not sure. But for the heartbeat of sports, even, and I'm not an NBA guy, and I get lost in the NBA, right? Like, but I know the Nuggets pro personnel director. I got to know him a little
Okay.
bit over a drink down at Sagamore Pendry about a year and a half ago, and he's always said out he wants to come on the show. I feel like a creep now calling him after they get swept. But there are Baltimore connections through this, right? I'm having Franchon Cruz DeZern on this week. I know you're a fight fan, so if she's coming on this week. So there's all of the Mayweather thing happened 2 weeks ago. All of these, whether you're a fight fan, whether you're a golf fan, whether you're a lacrosse fan, right? And it's all happening. And the hockey thing's coming out. My wife and I met at a hockey game, right? And our affinity for Trots and Trot showing us around Nashville 18 years ago at the beginning of our marriage and going down into his lair underneath the Nashville arena when Nashville was a place nobody went and wearing fang fingers and all that. All of a sudden he's up 1-0. And I got to, this is the first time I've talked. I'm going to get Eddie on this week, Frankovic, to spill on the Leones' family a little bit. But they won the game Sunday. They're up 1-0 in the series. And when they won the game, when it was over, I came out and said to my wife, I'm like, he's 7 wins away from going to the Hall of Fame. Or as Earl Weaver would call it, the effing Hall of Fame, as he would say to an umpire, you know. That's kind of an amazing, like that makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up because he used to sit next to me up in the press box and he said, "Oh, my name's Barry. I'm a Western Scout, you know." And like I'm like, now here we are 40 years later. He's on a Hall of Fame track. If they win the Stanley Cup this month, Barry Trotz is going to the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's a great story in and of itself. And Nestor, this is the first time in my life, and it's because of you and Jen, that I find myself rooting for a New York team, right? Who would have thought it?
Dude,
Who would
it's
have
weird.
thunk it? Who would
You
have
have
thunk
no
it?
idea how much I hate Dennis Potvin. I mean, you have no idea. I met that a-hole. Oh my God. I hate the Islanders. I always hated the Islanders. I hated Billy Smith, Al Arbor. Bossy was nice to me once. I give him a pass. Trottier, I don't know anything about him. All I know is he was a torturer of the Washington Capitals. Trottier specifically. So yeah, it's weird. And you know the neatest part about this, Den? When he took that job, if you remember, right, like the Capitals just defecated upon him. The organization let him go. We'll do it without you. He's now in his third final in 4 years, conference final. Capitals haven't won a playoff series. But more than that, when he took that gig, their player, their star, their Manny Machado, Tavares, said, nah, I'm not signing up for this. I've been through this once. Because you remember the Capitals had some pesky series with the Islanders in the playoffs,
He
right?
did.
And Tavares was their Ovechkin. He was their star. And Trotz takes the gig and he says, nah, I don't think so. And everybody's like, oh, wow, you know, Trot's got a reclamation project there. It's another Nashville thing. They're not the other team in New York. They're the other team in New York, the Islanders at this point. They're getting thrown out of Brooklyn at the time. Like all of that. And then I watched Trotz just sit behind the bench like a Yoda. And just direct traffic with all of these cats that 3 years ago no one would have signed on. You take the job to get paid, but you don't take the job thinking you're going to win a cup with those cats, especially without Tavares.
Yeah, you know what? It's just a great story, Nestor, and I'm glad he got paid. I'm glad he got some respect, and now he's also getting some redemption, right? And there's nothing better in sports than for one to redeem him or herself. And as you mentioned, he's 7 wins away from a Hall of Fame career, and such a nice guy. And it's
Well,
great to
think
hear
about
the
how many
story.
jerk coaches there were in hockey.
A ton,
Laviolette,
a
Keenan,
ton.
bad guy. Maybe not Scotty Bowman, but sort of there's good guy coaches and bad guy. You want to
There
root
are.
against Calipari. You want to root against Hug. They're Krzyzewski.
Yeah.
Dean Smith. Yeah, it's like Tom Landry or Don Shula. You can hate on them, but it's not because of their personality. With Trotz, I'm telling you, like I was hearing Kenny Albert call the game, and Kenny's the reason I am where I am. He's the reason Coons Ford sponsors the show, and you do radio every week. I mean, Kenny launched my career, and I'm thinking, Kenny's now broadcasting a game. The guy behind the bench was his roommate on bus trips here. I mean, it's funny how life works out in that way.
It is, but I do think there's something to be said about a coach winning a championship and not being allowed to defend said championship. People think it's easy to get to the top of the mountain. People think it's easy to change the formula, change the ingredients, change the sauce. But the guy at the top deserves a lot of credit for keeping everything together. And a lot of times, folks underappreciate all that goes into building a championship caliber team. He doesn't have to be the most liked person in the building, but he's going to be the most respected person in the building. And I thought it was grossly disrespectful the way that the Washington Capitals treated Barry Trotz, and it's wonderful to see him. He almost levitates behind that bench with his arms crossed, and as you mentioned, he presents himself as a very much a Yoda-like figure, and I like the guy. I would love to play for him.
Well, he's just a special. I mean, I was thinking back about him coming out to Michael's on York Road with us, coming out to Buffalo Wild Wings. Every year we did a swabbing, and he came up to Greenmount Station in Hampstead, and all the Skipjacks personnel, all the people we've known for 30 years, we would make it a big night. He would stay an extra hour, 2 hours after the show to 11 o'clock. He's like, the wife and kids are in bed. It's a free night in Baltimore. I'm with friends. I mean, he values the fact that my wife and I were in the room in Las Vegas carrying on with the Cup 3 years ago. We're coming up on that anniversary here this week, right? Yeah. That it's amazing what he's doing in the island. And if you're a sports fan, if you're a hockey fan at all, even if you're a Caps fan, Caps hater, whatever, it's lingered longer, right? We're in the middle of June. This isn't kind of normal conference. I mean, 4th of July, the fireworks can be going off. We're going to be in the Cup finals, right? But you know what's really weird is my wife and I scored Springsteen tickets the other day. Did I tell you this?
You did not. That's wonderful. That's great news.
Well, Billy Ehrman hit me. The queue started. I didn't even think about it. Like, Springsteen announced he's doing these shows in New York, and I'm like, let me know when E Street's coming. It's expensive. It's New York, whatever. Billy hit me on Friday at 11:52, and he's like, tickets are going on sale in 8 minutes. Get in the queue. And I'm like, all right. I got in the queue, and I played the game. You're in line. Sure you are. And I popped 2 tickets from my wife on July 1st. In New York. And here's the weird part. Here's where the intersection happens. July 1st, the Islanders might be playing game 5. Like right around that time in New York. So I'm starting to watch that. And I'm thinking, you don't buy a ticket for Springsteen on Broadway in July and think, well, there might be a Stanley Cup final over on the island at the same time. I mean, part of this is happening. And in the NBA, I'm like lost. Can you bring me up? Give me an NBA update. Legit.
Well, again, the big
I'm
story.
surprised LeBron's not playing. I woke up and I'm like, how did he get exited?
He's in Cancun right now with the rest of the Lakers, I believe. But look, injuries, age, going up against the buzzsaw of a team. But right now, the big story are the Suns, the Phoenix Suns. Who would have thunk it? Just bounced the Denver Nuggets out of the playoffs, swept them, and their fans have been just crazy. That they've been the big story. And
they still got the gorilla, right?
I have the gorilla. The Brooklyn Nets. They were sweeping the Milwaukee Bucks, and they got some injuries. Now the series is tied 2-2. But to your point, between NHL, NBA, and who can forget, we have the U.S. Open coming up this weekend on Father's Day weekend with golf, and if you and I were making an appearance, we would have Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau in the same grouping, right along with Phil Mickelson. Wouldn't that be fun? So if the golf gods are listening, they will make that happen, because that will be some compelling golf, and also the sound bites would be unbelievable. So if they're paying
the golf gods need television ratings in June, right?
Yes, I would. If we were making a pairings, we would figure it out.
Vince McMahon always figured out how to make the fight. So did Don King, right?
He did. And speaking of Vince McMahon, WWE may be going up for sale. So that's the other.
What?
That's the other big story.
Who could run it the way he run? No one could run it that way.
It comes down to
brand.
Money.
You talk about leadership. He is the brand.
He is the brand. But you know what they're talking about? The buzz is they're gonna sell. So that's another story to keep an eye out on. These are different times, Ness, as we know, and wild things are happening all over us, all around us. But there's
Springsteen's running back to the stage, and Vince is running off. They finally, huh?
Yeah, man, it's just amazing. It's just all these, like you said, everything is happening at once. It's like all the flowers blooming at one time.
Well, I want to say this about the NBA, because I just think the product stinks. I think the game stinks. When I watch it, I mean, I went through this 5 years ago. The kid that saved my wife's life, right? He was a huge NBA fan. When I brought him over here, I attended 6 NBA games in 8 nights then. I mean, I saw an NBA. I saw two NBA. I was at the Staples Center 2 nights in a row. I saw the Clippers, the Lakers. We saw the Warriors play in Oakland. We saw the Knicks play in New York against the Mavericks. I saw the Wizards play LeBron with Cleveland then. So it's 5 in 8 nights. We did 2 football games. So we were at a game every night. And I kept watching it thinking like, this isn't compelling in the way a football game is for me, or even a great tennis match last week, or even a great college band. I'm lost on the NBA product. I just don't find it that I want to sit for 3 hours and watch even the best players, even the finals or whatever, the way I did when Jordan and Magic. So that's just me, and that would be being older. I mean, I don't love the Who as much as I love the Stones these days. So, but I would say this about the NBA. I blink, right? I close my eyes and I open my eyes, and all of a sudden the Sixers are good. And I
Mhm.
remember when Eskin was burning the franchise down 4 years ago. I remember making fun of Luke's sister and her husband for getting married and all this Sixer stuff. Now they have a baby, and like Luke's uncle Luke, and like the Sixers are good. Milwaukee's good. Phoenix is good. What happened to Golden State? The Lakers are gone. All there's really been a tectonic shift, and to the credit of the NBA, and I guess to the credit of Major League Baseball, that like the Padres are good or whatever, that you do want that. I mean, Tampa won the Super Bowl, even though it was Tom Brady. You want that sort of mix that isn't Yankees, Red Sox, Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky, or Kansas, whatever, Alabama, whatever those sports are. That the NBA has created. I mean, Brooklyn is a good, and the Knicks made the playoffs, and like things are happening that make it more interesting than Lakers Celtics.
Yeah, I think the what makes it compelling is what you just said. The fact that the Lakers were bounced out in the first round opened up the entire Western Conference, and also gave the Eastern Conference teams hope that they can, in fact, have a really good chance of winning the championship. So that's been the big story. The Lakers have bounced out, has made it for more compelling basketball, and now the stories are, again, the fans in Phoenix. So you're getting a lot more layers and a lot more involvement and a lot more engagement from all these fan bases that in the past maybe wouldn't have paid as much attention to the NBA playoffs as they're paying right now. And for me, I love sports, and if something is on and it catches my eye, I'm going to watch it. Be it NBA, NHL, golf, college softball, World Series, whatever you have. So I think that's the nice thing these days. People are getting out, and even to yourself, Beth, you're getting out fishing. You're going to be on the water, and you're going to be one with Mother Earth, enjoying the sunlight and
I'm going to
all
be
the
one with
waterfowl.
Adley Rutschman and
Oh,
Grayson Rodriguez, and Bowie is what I'm going to be.
right, but so you're getting out, and I think that's the whole point. We're all getting out. Everyone's tired of being in. We're tired of wearing masks, and it's time. It's go time for the city of Baltimore, the state of Maryland, and for our nation to get going.
We talked about all of this, and I haven't talked about the Orioles, and I have Camden Yards behind me. We haven't talked about the Fells Point disturbances and all of that. I have Nick Johnson from Sukasa joining me here this week. I know a dozen of the Fells Point people. Everybody shows up on TV, whether it's Ron Furman, whether it's Patrick Russell, whether it's Nancy Longo. These are all friends of mine. I don't know Nick. I'm having him on, so we're talking about Fells Point. But I'll say this, then. My wife and I took a 7-mile walk on Saturday. We left the house. Quite frankly, we went to hear Eddie Lauer play, and Eddie was playing like a private party, didn't even play. So we wound up going to 5 more spots than where we would have gone. We had delicious pho at this incredible immigrant, one of our people, Greek, Venezuelan, these are immigrant folks. I think they were Thai. Pho Beck over in East, like unbelievably well thought of place that came from Rosedale, and just great family, met nice people, had a delicious meal, then went to Chaucer. We walked around. I was at Max's. I was at Admiral's Cup. I mean, we moved around. We went to Sagamore Pendry. We stopped at Taco Fiesta. I mean, I moved. I even used the bathroom at Roost Chris. So we walked through the city, and Dennis, I'm gonna say this, and I know you're selling cars out of Coons, and there's a car shortage and all this stuff. People were out, man. I mean, people were everywhere over the weekend. I didn't even see my pal Brian over Chaucer. He's like, "We're too slammed," and I'm like, "Yeah, I get it." Business was booming this weekend, and it's very unfortunate, the late night stuff and all, but people are out, and that is very, very heartening after what we've been through here in the last 16, 17 months.
Oh, they're all over the place, and The wait lines at restaurants now are increasing. I was at a steakhouse the other day, an hour and 20-minute wait. I didn't wait. We went to someplace else, but people are getting out. You can see it on the roads. You can see it at restaurants. You can see it when you're out and about, and it's a wonderful thing. It's June,
It's
right? It's time.
life. It's
It's life,
life.
right? And we're not built to stay indoors. We're built to move, right? And if you're moving, you're living. And uh, people that are 90 and 100 years old, and I've always asked them, what is your secret? And they say, keep moving. They all say the same thing: don't stop, because you're going to rust out, and you don't want to rust out. You want to wear out, and
You
keep
know what?
that
I had
body
Victor
moving.
Brick on last month. He was doing a big seminar on, coming out of the pandemic, and Deepak Chopra was a part of it. Jewel was a part of it. And when I had him on, he and his wife are famous with brick body. But it's keep moving. Just
Keep
move.
moving.
Go for a walk, man. Move your mind, move your body, move your soul, move your spirit. Do something, write something, think something. Just move. And for us, the movement on Saturday was we just saw a lot of dogs, a lot of people, a lot of couples, a lot of love, a lot of friendship, a lot of laughs, a lot of beer. We saw the goofy kids on the bikes trying to threaten everybody with their bikes. I see it, same thing, I guess, idiots did at East Point Mall when I was a kid, right? The kids from Essex would come in. I don't know if you know about that, then,
I wasn't part of that group.
Yeah,
I was
I
part of
know
the.
you might have been.
We
You
were
were
we
in the
were
fountain Christmas time.
we
But
were
but
athletes.
listen, good and bad. I saw rats. I saw dogs. I saw cats in windows. I saw raven flags. I saw Maryland flags. I saw drunk people. I saw happy people. I saw blind people. I saw immigrant people. I saw families. I saw fireworks out the window everywhere. I mean, so just a lot going on here. We went a week without a murder in this city. Nobody said a word. I mean, Justin Fenton hit that out. That's not a headline, but I'm going to make it one.
Yeah, well, good for you, and you can see a lot in 7 miles, can't you? And Baltimore has a lot of sights. For all the bad things that are out there, there's certainly a lot of good, and that gets understated, right? The
You
bad
know
things
what
make the
I saw,
headlines.
and this is the funniest thing, and I'm going to do this the next time I walk. The next time I walk that distance, I'm going to take a picture in front of every place that says they have the best crab cake in Baltimore.
That's you're going to take a lot of pictures because everybody thinks they have the best. Everybody thinks they have the best recipe, right? Mine is better than yours, and God forbid, that's probably the most polarizing conversation you can have with anyone in Baltimore is who has the best crab cake. Because I have my favorite, you have your favorite, and everybody else has their favorite too.
And I swear to you, when I walked past every place, I thought they've got a good crab cake. Duda likes his crab cake. Alex Smith loves his crab cake. Admiral Crow. Oh, Patrick loves his crab cake. Oh, Thames Street Oyster. Yeah, they love their crab. And then I turn the corner and I go on to Eastern Avenue, and then I start walking up, and I'm like, all right, they got a crab cake. They've got a crab cake. Kissing's has a crab cake. And then I walk through the neighborhood. They got a crab cake. They got. Guy Fieri's on the wall at Sip and Bite. I haven't even mentioned Captain James. I've never been in Captain James in my life. I walk
Really?
by, they open at 9 in the morning, and I'm like, they serve eggs in there. I did not know that. And then where's one other place? Bertha's. Bertha's had a sign that said best crab cake. And I'm like, all right, man, we're going to have a good time with this crab cake tour. This is going to be something.
I don't think you can find a bad crab cake in Baltimore. Granted, some are going to be better than others, but you're being hard pressed to find a really bad crab cake in Baltimore City or in the state of Maryland for that matter. They're all
My
good.
goal is to eat every one of them. That's what I'm doing on the tour. Dennis, I will see you on Thursday. We did all this sports, then talking the Orioles. You going to go to the Bay Sox game with me or not?
Depends on the date. Let me know when it is, and I'll be more than happy to check the calendar.
You'll be in the pond next door over in PG County catching some
Maybe.
yellow perch or something.
Maybe.
All right, Dennis Koulatsos here on Thursday. Dennis Koulatsos Show, D. Koulatsos Show. He's a Coons Ford. He's selling cars. You can reach him on his hip on his phone. You hear the ads, but you can find him on Thursday and, of course, on Sunday morning. You can find me anywhere the internet travels: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, and, of course, at the mothership, AM 1570. We are WNST, Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking Baltimore positive.